Hi there, here is the second video on trig ratios, specifically the sine ones, and I want to go through some examples. And there are actually only three types of equations or types of questions you're going to get based on sine. And every single sine question you get kind of in this section, you should be able to match up to one of these. So if you have this, tickety-boo, if you get lost, you can always take a look and make things happen. First of all, I want to apologize. It's not just you. I can see my pictures are a little fuzzy there. I stole them off the internet and I enlarged them, and you can see they got fuzzy on me. My bad. Okay, so I'm going to complete this after I label my question. So the idea here is I'm going to do a sample question. You're going to turn off the video. You're going to do the practice question. And then we're going to compare answers, and yours are going to be the same as mine, and life is good. When in doubt with all of these, start by labeling your triangle. So here is my handy dandy square corner. So this is my hypotenuse. I go around the corner where the angle is, right? I don't know the angle, but that's what I'm looking for. So this becomes adjacent, and this is my opposite side. So information given. So we are given hypotenuse and opposite, and we want the angle. All right, so formula. Sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. But how do I know which one to use? Well, this question says, the whole sheet says you're using sine to begin with, but we have a number for opposite, and we have a number for hypotenuse. And the only one of our trig functions that talks about opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So sine theta. You could put question mark there if you wanted to, or you could put a little theta in there. It's fine. Is opposite 51 out of 54. 2 checkpoints right now. Number one, there's basically 3 parts in our formula. There's the angle, there's the opposite, and the hypotenuse. If you solve an equation and there's 3 parts in it, you need to know 2 to solve it. So if I have sine theta is 51 over hypotenuse and I don't know that number, then I am not using the right formula. Okay, so there should only be one unknown, and the unknown right here is this one. Second checkpoint. If you're using sine or cos, they will always be between, the values are always going to be less than 1. So this top number better be smaller than the bottom number. Otherwise, your calculator's, well, it's not a big thing. The calculator's just going to give you an error. So sine theta is 51 divided by 54. 0.94. Now, I just probably said in the last video, you always copy out 4 decimal points, but the fact that that's a repeating decimal, I can just get away with that. That's not my angle. My angle is not 0.94 degrees. It's the sine of my angle, so the ratio associated with that angle is 0.94. Remember, I'm going to go second and sine. Now, my calculator is a little on the nice kind of magic side. If I just hit the equals, it retypes the answer from the previous one, and I get my answer there. So theta is equal to 70.811. Theta is equal to 71 degrees. You don't necessarily do that. I just find it easier if I'm rounding. I just write, I don't know, a bunch of decimal places, 2 or 3, and then I round appropriately. So notice what happens. So this was, we hit second sine. At this point, and when you get your final answer, the word sine disappears, and I threw in a degrees because that's the actual measure of that angle. Okay, tickety-boo. I need you to turn off the video, and I want you to do this question over here. It's basically the same. You're given the same information, you want the angle, go ahead and do it, and then turn the video back on and make sure that we have the same answer. All right, I'm going to trust you did that. So hypotenuse around my angle I care about, adjacent and opposite. I just want to show you. Okay, so say you're having a bad day and this wasn't directly labeled that we're supposed to be using sine. So if we try to do cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, let me just wrong, but it's an example. Okay, see what would happen? We have cos theta, because we don't know our angle, is equal to adjacent, which I don't know, over hypotenuse, which I do know. You can't do that formula. That's got too many unknowns. You are allowed to have one unknown in an equation, not two. If you have two unknowns, you need two equations, and that is somewhere in math 20 when we do linear intersecting lines. Okay, so this, no. But we have hypotenuse, and we have opposite, and we know it's sine because, well, frankly, some sine examples, and we just did one. So sine theta, opposite over hypotenuse, sine theta, opposite is 19, over hypotenuse is 27. So again, here's my checkpoint, little star here. I have one unknown, so theta is the thing I don't know, and by the way, theta, right, that's that thing, but when I write, it always ends up looking like kind of a weird cube. So that's one unknown. I know these two, so one unknown, so 2 out of 3 I gotta know, and the 19 and 27, the opposite has to be shorter than hypotenuse. So this number, when you divide it out, is always going to be 0 point something. If you divide it and get 1 point something or 8 point something, then something's wrong. Either you don't have the right formula, you didn't label things right, or often you just punched it in your calculator backwards. So remember, this one, top number goes in first. So I go 19 divided by 27. So sine theta is 0.7037. And then I can do second and sine, and for me equals, and it will give me my calculator or my angle. So theta is equal to 44.72, or theta is equal to 45 degrees. And circle my answer. And there we go. Now, if your calculator isn't fun like mine, you can always go second and sine, and then type in 0.7037, and you still get 44.72. So either way works. Cool? Cool. All right, let's look at these ones down, this matching pair down at the bottom. Now, let's see what we got here. We have, this is my hypotenuse, and we have an angle, and whoopsies, don't change the rules. Start by labeling adjacent and opposite. Okay, so this time we are given the, let's see, we are given the hypotenuse and the angle, and you want, and I know that opposite. So up here, we were looking for an angle. Down here, we want to find out the opposite side. This part mostly is just for if you get lost when you're working on questions later on, you can go back and say, okay, well, what am I given? And then you can compare. This is sine, because there's my opposite, and there's my hypotenuse. So sine theta, oh, I don't have a lot of room here. Opposite over hypotenuse. Sine, now look at this one. I do know my angle, so I can put in a 40 degrees. Oopsies. You should put the degree sign. If you don't, it's not going to hurt you. Opposite, which I don't know, so I'm going to put an X, because, yeah, there's an X right there. You could write op again. I tend to do that sometimes. over, oopsies, see, now I've made a mistake. And I caught myself because I can't have an x there and an unknown there. I must know hypotenuse, which in fact I do, is 19. All right, now, there's a number of ways to solve it at this point. I'm going to do the easiest one, which seems to cause the least grief among students. And I'm going to tell you to do sine 40 on your calculator right now. So sine 40, and you get 0.6428 is equal to x over 19. So remember, if you have the angle, it's just sine 40. You just type it in your calculator exactly the way it looks. Besides, if you get mixed up and go second sine 40, your calculator goes, I don't think so. So let me get back to that. So sine 40, there we go. All right. So 4 decimal places with trig functions. Oh, I'm so running out of room. Anytime I'm looking for either the opposite or hypotenuse, I just cross multiply. Cross multiplying, so 1 times x is equal to 0.6428 times 19. And that is the point of cross multiplying. It gets rid of my fraction. I'm not fond of fractions. Very few of my students have ever been fond of fractions. So we're just going to get rid of it. And take this step, because all it was is 1 times this is there. This 1 times this one is there. So x is going to be, now I can multiply these together. Now, here's a fun thing. Some students will want to retype this in and they will multiply by 19, and that will be completely right. But you know what? Look, it's already sitting there waiting for me. So I'm just going to multiply by 19 right away. And I'm going to get x is 12.21. That is my opposite side. Now, the question sheet said nothing about how to round. So if I'm an instructor, I can't argue with how you should round. Rough guess though, if this is a whole number, then I'm going to go down here and say this is 12. There is no units here, so there doesn't have to be any units there. And my answer is reasonable because this opposite side is smaller than my hypotenuse. If this number ended up bigger than 19, I would know something was messed up. All right, turn off the video and do this one yourself. Remember the reason. Okay. And we're back. The reason I ask you guys always to turn off the video is just watching me do the question isn't going to help you that much. I want you to become good mathematicians, and to do that, you need to practice on your own. And use a pencil if you're worried about making mistakes, right? I had a student once that says, I don't want to try it because I only want to write down the right stuff. She didn't always turn out the greatest when it came to exam time. Actually, it worked pretty well for him. But just in general, you need to practice. Practice, practice, practice makes permanent. All right, here we go. Labeling first. Hypotenuse. Around my corner. Adjacent. Opposite. All right, so sine theta. Opposite over hypotenuse. Same process as before. Let's plug in our numbers. So sine 18 degrees is opposite, which I don't know, over hypotenuse, which I do know. So I have one unknown, and that's the x, so it should be good. So sine 18, 0.3090. And then we're going to cross multiply. 1 times x is equal to 0.3090 times 18. And again, in. I'm going to be lazy. It's already on my calculator. I'm not going to retype it. X is equal to, same as before. If this is a whole number, I'm going to round this to 6. That is my best guess for that. And about the only thing I can say is that this number, because it's the opposite side, has to be smaller than the hypotenuse. 6 is smaller than 18. Okay, I think I'm going to stop this video here, and there will be a second video associated with this one. I thought I could have it all in one, but I think it's getting a little long. Okay, see you in a minute.